So, alright, today is, let's see what day it is today. It is the 22nd, September 22nd, and today is a Tuesday, and it's really like cloudy out, and I think it might rain, but that's very irrelevant at the moment. Backtrack. Weekend. Let's see, Friday. Oh, I had a very interesting weekend. Well, I think it's interesting because my life is boring, and a lot of things are rather interesting. So, Friday. Me and Cindy, my friend, my BFF, you know that girl you see in the other videos that you can hardly hear her voice? Well, me and her, we have a tradition, at least this school semester, to try to exercise every Friday morning. Trying to keep our slim bodies slim and hot. So then, we look good when the spring comes back again. Anyway, so she says, oh, well, I'll wake you up at 8 o'clock and we'll wake up, we'll go work out and do our stuff. That never happens. We never be working out at 8 o'clock. You're not going to get my ass to wake up at 8 o'clock. And that bitch is not up by 8 either. She just said she'd be up by 8. We end up getting there by 1 o'clock. Anyway, so she said she'll wake me up at like 8. She ends up waking me up at like 10, getting to my house at 11:30. When she comes to my house, side note, my house, I live in a townhouse, a little townhouse complex, and outside my house is like a couple parking spaces. And when she parks there, to pick me up and we drive to the gym. So she parks and she rings my doorbell and she's like, Lewis, I'm here to pick you up. We're going to go work out. We're going to get skinny and all of this. There's a car. And then she said, Lewis, do you know that there's a car parked out here? And I'm like, oh, I didn't really pay attention. And she tells me, there's 2 dogs in this car. And I was like, oh, well, I'm pretty sure the owner will get them. Two dogs, 2 little dogs barking their heads off. So I invite her inside because I needed to drive my sister to work. So Cindy's in my house for a good hour and a half at this point. And now it's going on to 1 o'clock. We're going to drive my sister to work and go work out on the way. So we walk out the door. The dogs are still in this car. And we're like, the bitch did not take the dog out of this car. So I call my mom and she said, oh, I don't know what to do, because my mom has a Spanish accent. You should kind of, call the police or something, I tell you. Oh, I don't know the number of the police. I'm like, well, Mom, you're useless. Let me call my stepdad. So I call my stepdad. He gives me the phone number of the police. I said, okay, we'll call the police after we drop my sister off. So we go drop my sister off. We go back to my house. And, and I was like, Cindy, do we really have to call the police? And Cindy's like, becoming a white woman. This girl... She's like, yeah, Lewis, you can't leave 2 dogs here. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they'll get them. So we call the police. Let me just say, I hate the police. I hate that this world involves so much protocol. It's ridiculous. Like, here's the police. They're asking me. First of all, the guy on the phone, he sounded like a jackass. It was, like, uncalled for. Like, the tone of his voice, it wasn't like, this is the... It was like, this is the police, what do you want? And I was like, I'm calling to, report that there's a dog in a car. And he's like, I guess I asked for the wrong department of the police or whatever, but he was still filing the report anyway. So he's like, okay, can you speak up? I can't hear you. And I was like, fine. I started yelling at the phone, Just the tone of his voice was pissing me off, because he was giving me all this attitude, and I didn't ask for it. And then he's like, okay, so what kind of car do you drive? I'm like, what's that got to do with the car with the dogs? The dogs aren't in my car. And then he's like, where do you live? I'm like, that's irrelevant. I was giving him all this information. What, you want to know my blood type too? Like, it's ridiculous. Look, what if somebody was dying? He's asking me all these questions that are not important. He barely asked me questions about the other car. He was asking me about my car. I'm like, well, there's no accident. There's just $2 in the car. I could have just told on the street. Why you need to know all this information? The dogs are dying as we speak. You're asking me all these irrelevant questions. What if, like, my friend Cindy was, like, being stabbed or something? You're going to ask me, well, what car does the villain drive? No, that's not important. Okay? Why are you asking all these questions? I hate all the protocol. It was unnecessary. And on top of that, they took like 20 minutes to drive to like for a cop to show up. That's dumb because my town is small. It's not like a big town, and the police are like the police building is only like what 5 minutes away from my house. It shouldn't take 20 minutes. If it was an emergency, you guys, we would all be dead. Okay, so this police officer comes, okay, and 20 minutes later. So, and when he comes, he sees this car with the dogs in. And, you know, he's asking us the same questions that the operator asked us. I'm like, did the operator not inform you about the situation at hand? So we give her the information once again, and we realize that this car, oh, wait, backtrack a little bit. I don't want to continue. So once the police officer actually comes 20 minutes later, he's asking us the same damn questions that the operator asked us. I'm like, did the operator not inform you about the situation at hand? Like, I just gave this information to the operator. You should have it too. It wouldn't make sense. You would have saved time if you just came here instead of asking all the dang questions on the phone that you wouldn't even tell your police officers. So, the police officer is like asking us all these questions, and he's like, well, what do you think might have happened? And Cindy, my friend Cindy, she had opened her mouth. She said, well, it was my idea to call. And what I think happened was, I think that some two kids parked here and let their dogs in this car and ran off to the woods and started smoking pot. That's what she told the police. But let me backtrack a little bit. But before all of this, before the police came, this woman came. She parked in the parking spot. She parked and she had like 3 kids or something. A suburban mom, housewife, and she saw us. She's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And you know, we're like, "Oh, there's 2 dogs in this car." She's like, "Oh my God, who would do that?" And you know how those housewives are. They get nosy with their neighbors. And so she wanted to get in on it. So she waited with us for the cops. And when the cops came, she's just standing there being a third person. She's like she's useless. She's just standing there just to look pretty and just to be like, oh yeah, I was here with the 2 dogs in this car. You know, she's useless. She don't know nothing. But she was there, and we were, whatever. She didn't say nothing. She wasn't really important. So, and the police officer was asking us all these questions, and Cindy came up with her pothead story about the kids, and then the lady was like, oh, I know, a lot of kids in this town do pot, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, and so, like, she was just basically confirming everything we said to the police, like, she was there the whole time. So, the police looks up the license plate, and apparently it's someone who lives, you know, in my residential area. So he knocks up on the door, and basically the bitch comes out and she's like, oh my God, I know it was bad of me to leave my dogs in my car, but I had, she was showing her house, and she told the cops, it was only 20 minutes, bitch, it was not no 20 minutes, okay, it was over an hour and a half, going on to 2 hours of these dogs had been in this car, and it was very hot out, it was hot out that day, it was like 90 degrees. So these dogs were like frying in this car. I felt really sad for those doggies. But yeah, that's it. That's calling the police like white people. That's what we do when we had nothing to do. That's part 1 of my weekend. Oh, I can't even fit the whole weekend on one video because YouTube only lets me have 10 minutes of video.